Hello everyone, this is Avik here back again with his next tutorial on how to design posts and creatives for publishing on various platforms using simple tools such as PowerPoint. By and by, we will take up more critical and more effective tools such as Photoshop and CorelDRAW to design such creatives. But today we're going to wrap up with PowerPoint only. So we know that PowerPoint it's a tool for designing presentations, for making presentations, right? So here I have my PowerPoint slide open, right? So before we proceed further, the certain things that I would like to add is first, before even designing a particular creative, I need to have in mind, at the back of my mind, how exactly the final output is going to look. For instance, if you go ahead and look at this particular slide, so this has got the width is greater than the height. I mean, once we're working with slides, so the horizontal part, this is known as the width, and the vertical one, that's known as the height. So in case your PowerPoint slides looks like this, that means it's got a landscape orientation, right? So in case you want to make it portrait, simply under design tab on the top, you've got to click on slide orientation and then select portrait or landscape, depending how do you want your image to look like. Do you want it to look like a portrait, or do you want it to look like a landscape, right? Now before we proceed further, also there are certain tweaks and changes that we need to do with our slide. So because I'll be inserting lots of images and text over here, so I want to make sure that all of these images and texts are aligned properly and nothing is conflicting with one another, any object or text box that I'm using. So for that purpose, I'm just gonna click on view here, view tab at the top, that's the last option. Then I'm gonna check these two buttons, ruler and grid lines. So once I'm checking on the ruler, immediately I get the ruler at the top and on the left. So this exactly shows me where exactly my objects in terms of images and text boxes will lie, right? So we have the ruler at the top and we have the ruler on the left. Now again, I'm going to left click on view and check this option called grid lines. So you'll find that the entire slide gets filled with these small dotted lines, which are basically the grids on which the slide stands. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. The slide looks too big. Sorry. Right. So there we go. So in case you double click on home, actually this whole thing pops under. If you click on it once, this pops down and then goes away again. If you double click on home once again, then I get back my original tab, the default view for any presentation slide, right? So there you go. So that's about getting the stage ready for you to design this particular slide, right? Now if you want it to be portrait or landscape, we already saw that, right? Now once you're inserting images for designing certain creatives on Photoshop, you can use this button called insert. Left click on insert, then left click on this option called picture, then go ahead to the exact place, the location on which you have your pictures ready. So I'm gonna there you go. And maybe I'm going to select, say, I just select all files from here so that I'm able to see all of them. So for instance, I'm gonna insert this image file just for the time being. I won't speculate a lot. I've got front, back. Yeah, for instance, I'm gonna insert this urban city silhouette PNG. Now let's go ahead with a JPEG file, a solid block JPEG file. Yeah. So over here, so my image selection, this is one way of inserting images onto a slide. Okay. The way I prefer to do it is somewhat like this. So I simply press delete, right? In case you missed that, where the picture go, I had inserted this image from here. Right? And the importance of grid lines is that if you can see, there's a small green bow over here. So these are the proximities of this particular image. So you can go ahead and check whether your image lies exactly at the center of the slide, in case you want the image to lie at the exact center of the slide or not. So I'm just going to press delete right now. Right. So the way I do this is I simply pop this screen from you by left clicking on this button, that's the middle one, just between minimize and close on the top right hand side of my screen, and I just drag this window and pop it to any part of the screen. I just deck it on either on the left or right. So since if you're using Windows 7 or above, this is a really helpful feature so that you can work on different windows at the same time, right? So I'm just gonna deck this on the right hand side, like just make sure your cursor is touching the extreme right hand side or the edge of your screen. So there goes. So once I'm doing this, if you can see, it's taking up half of the screen anywhere I do that, be it on the left or the right. See that? So that's how you can work on multiple windows at the same time if you're working on Windows 7 or above. So there goes my, I'm just going to release this. Right now, they'll give me an option of what do I want on the left hand side of my screen. So my right hand side has been taken care of by the PPT, right? So I'm gonna left click on this one, maybe this folder where I have lots of images. Yeah. So what I prefer doing is basically this. So I'm simply gonna go ahead and drag. So there's my image, JPEG file for instance. I'm simply gonna drag this, right? Just left click on that. Don't release left click. In case you're working on your laptops, you gotta move your finger over that mouse pad, or simply move your mouse to this particular area of the slide where you're gonna drop it. If you're observing that cursor has got a small plus icon just beneath that, which means you're about to add something to the slide, and simply release that. Right, now I'll just maximize this particular window of PowerPoint. There I have my slide ready with the image in between. Right now, this part is really important, especially when we are working with PowerPoint slides for designing images. In case you're not using Photoshop, CorelDRAW, anything else, see, it's very critical, and it becomes very difficult when you try to adjust images as per the slide. So one word of advice: whatever you're working on the slide on the right hand side of your screen, okay, so the end product should be what you're seeing on the left of the screen. So basically, if your image is spilling out of the slide, for instance in this case, it's spilling over from the right hand side. If you can see, I'll just drag it here. So it's spilling from the right, it's spilling from the bottom. If you can see, it's outside the slide. So on the left hand side you can see the final product. That doesn't matter. So the PowerPoint will capture only the portion which is on the slide, right? So don't get worried if your image is outside, and you just want to make sure that nothing important is getting clipped off, right? So once this is done, alignment and resizing images is really important. So I'll just left click somewhere outside over here, then left click on the image to select that particular object, which is the image. Once I do that, if you remember, if you're observing, this part of the window turns pink and this picture tools comes up. See? So now I'm gonna click on format under picture tools, and then from the extreme right hand side you can reduce the height or width of the image. That's up to you, or you can do it manually. Now manually can be a tricky job, because if I try to do it from here, maybe the middle of the screen to fit the image on the slide. So suppose let me deck it to one of the corners first. So while you are moving around with these images, like, you can use your navigation keys, that's your arrow keys basically, to move up and down your slide. Now this is almost taken up perfectly over here. That's a bit of a coincidence. This won't happen. Life ain't that easy. So let's see how to resize images over a slide. So if you're dragging corners, so you take your cursor to one of the corners, left click, and without releasing left click, if you're dragging, okay, that's one way of doing it. Okay, if you're dragging from the sides, that's a very dicey thing, so avoid doing that. So if I'm doing this, maybe the image gets shrinked, which does not look good at all, right? So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo what I did just now. Yeah. So suppose your image, what you inserted, is somewhere in the middle of the screen. Simply left click on the image, don't release left click, and drag it to one of the corners, and then expand, drag out the diagonally opposite corner of the image to take up the entire slide. So I'm just going to do that, right? So one thing you should keep in mind is that under no circumstance must your image distort. Like, it should not be stretched out wide horizontally or vertically, neither it should be shrunk in horizontally or vertically. Now I dragged out the image from one of the corners, right? So this part of the slide is empty. So if I want this particular part to be filled up, I'm just going to select this image and not drag from this part of the image. Like, I will not drag from here to the right. That will actually stretch out the image. Okay, this image does not look that bad because the image is by default, by nature, it's such, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'm not going to drag out from the middle of the image. It's always advised, it's always wise to do the dragging out part from any of the diagonal corners. So I'm going to drag from this corner outside till I get to the edge of my slide. So now there I go. So now I have a exactly positioned image, right? So dragging out and dragging in it's a very critical thing, right? Now maybe I'll try and add a logo to this thing. I'll do it the same way I did. I'm going to use, for instance, this logo. Right. Also, once you're working, like, you can simply drag and drop from different windows. I mean, in case you don't want to dock two windows to two sides of your screen, this is also how you can do it. So I'm going to drag this image to my taskbar where I can actually see PowerPoint is there. So I'm dragging this on my taskbar where PowerPoint is already open. Immediately, see, the slide opens up, and then I'm going to release and drop this image on this particular slide. Now this is a way big image for putting up on the slide, so I'm going to resize, I'm going to shrink this image, but in a very even way, right? So there's a particular way of doing it. It's a very small trick. If you want to drag and images from all sides evenly, what all you have to do is press and hold the control button, the control key of your device, of your keyboard. Press and hold that without releasing that, then drag in or drag out a particular corner of an image. Remember, it's control and then we drag in or drag out one of the corners. So this way, if you can see, the entire image is getting shrunk, but evenly from all sides. I don't have to drag from any side as such. See, you can actually see that the aspect ratio, the ratio of the width and height is the same as I drag in or drag out, right? Then I'm going to release this, release the left click and the control maybe. There you go. So even if I have shrunk it, I don't have to slide by to the left or right a lot. I simply press and hold control and drag in or drag out the corners. Remember, I'm going to do it always from the corner. So now I have my logo in place, and using your navigation keys you can place your image in the correct position. And while doing that, like while you are moving images, there are ways of moving images. So you can left click on the image and then put it on a particular place like this, and maybe take it down a bit and see how it looks like. So whatever you're doing on the right, keep a watchful eye on what's happening on the left. So see, on the left there's a green space between, because once you have put up the image right on the slide, you can't get to see where exactly my white space is there any blank space, because that's exactly why we have put up grids and rulers. If you can see, we can see small dotted lines on the image as well. So if you want to make microscopic movements of the image over the slide, again there's sorry, I did not select the image. I select the image, left click, then there's another shortcut of doing this, like if you want to reduce images, the size of the images. So dragging is one option. If you want to increase the size, there's another shortcut. You press and hold shift. Don't hold it for too long due to those sticky key issues. Press and hold shift, then tap on the up arrow key, then your image gets increased evenly. That's another shortcut that might come in handy for you while you're designing posts and creatives. The down arrow key reduces, the up arrow key increases, but never remove your finger from the shift button, right? So that's one thing. And the same goes for your right and left arrow keys. The right arrow key, as and when you are holding shift, the right arrow key increases the image size evenly, and the left arrow key, left navigation key actually reduces the image size. Now if it comes to microscopic movements of that particular image over the slide, we can, if you can see, if I am pressing the navigation keys randomly without any other thing, the movement is very jerky, it's not at all smooth. Now if I want to make this same movement in a very smooth and microscopic manner, I'm gonna press and hold control and then click and then tap on the navigation keys to move the images left and right. So you can actually see the difference. Now I'm moving the image using my I'm pressing control and holding that, as and when I'm tapping on the left and right or top or down navigation keys. So you can see the movement is very slow, and more than slow, it's microscopic. It's very minute and precise instead of jerky movements if I tap the navigation keys without pressing the control button, right? So once this thing is in place, just press Shift F5 and see how the final output is looking. So on the left there's a small green fine line there. I'm just going to remove that by moving microscopically the image to the left a bit. I think we're good to go. Yeah. So once this is done, you can go to File, then click on Save As. Then you can put up the Save As type as JPEG from here, and make sure where exactly you are saving the image. It might get lost. Then you might be spending time hunting for your image in documents and etc. So normally you can keep it here and rename your work accordingly. A very way of archiving your work, because this is something you are creating, right? So this is more of like your intellectual property. So in case you are designing creative for WellCare, so you need to index this particular creative or presentation, like something like WC for WellCare. Then you can put up the date as well. So suppose this is a creative for okay, it's for Daksh, right? So I'm going to put up, say, TK underscore, and suppose this post is going to happen on 16th of August. So 16 AUG. So that becomes your image. So you actually get to see what, like, it'll be easy for you to archive, like this is the particular creative that I had published on the 16th of August for Daksh, right? So that's one thing. And in case you are a big fan of shortcuts as well, you can simply go ahead and press F12. Depending upon your what laptop or computer you're using, it might be function F12. That's the shortcut for save as, basically, right? So I'm gonna click on JPEG, rename this creative for maybe TK 16th August, and I'm gonna simply save this. So you can go ahead and save the current slide, like only this particular slide gets imported as an image. And it's even better if you're putting your signature in place of the author, so that gives even more, I mean, clarity for you that who was actually instrumental in designing the creative. That's a very minute, not so very important digital signature. Those are certain tweaks and changes you can go ahead and do. So that's basically how you design creatives, technically speaking, using PowerPoint. And because once we're designing things, we also need to make sure that the aesthetic aspect of a creative is also upheld in the proper manner, right? I hope this video has been useful for people who are starting to designing posts by inserting images from secondary sources. I will take this particular lesson of designing creatives using PowerPoint at a much deeper level in the coming sessions and tutorials. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. I hope this video has been helpful.